have a company called Statoil, which is from Norway, which our government has given permission to do some exploratory activity looking for petroleum in our waters out here in the deep sea. And we're not happy with that because we've seen what's going on around the world with oil companies and their activities, and it's been disastrous for the marine environment and also for the coastal areas where if there's been an oil spill, the pollution and health effects on people and devastating economies even. We need to protect what we value in our area. We actually have a spiritual pathway, it's what Māori reality is, that goes right up the west coast. And if our spiritual pathway was to be overrun by oil, dead animals, polluted, I can't even comprehend the thought of what that would mean for spiritually for Māori people. So we've got a lot riding on keeping Statoil out. It's really interconnected also with climate change. We think it's quite insane that we're still looking for oil after it's hit its peak oil. Why? I mean, we've got all this renewable technology, it's green, it's going to create new economies if we transition into that kind of energy production and structure in New Zealand. An oil spill, just the process of exploring, we understand the science of it, it's dangerous. And every other company behind them in the queue, and we know there's companies behind Statoil waiting to do the same thing, so this is going to be ongoing. Our marine life right now is under so much stress already, without the thought of another disaster bearing down on them. Many of our mammals that have navigational technology, they get interrupted when you have these big booming blasts, right? That's what the exploration vessels use. Imagine if you had to live your whole life with this loud noise like a rip-roaring airplane engine going off in your lounge every minute of the day. You know, that would just, it makes the mammals have to disperse and go to other areas to feed, just to sleep and get rest. They can't procreate because they're too stressed out. And actually the sound blast can, if they're in proximity close enough, can actually destroy the bones in their head and the little mechanisms that give them navigational ability. And so they start stranding. And also the smaller animals that say whales and dolphins feed on, the sound just makes them all run away, and so the feeding grounds that are normally there for the whales aren't there anymore. So they starve. This whole action that we're doing is making our way to Auckland because there's a big event which has got industry, oil players, big ones coming to Sky City in Auckland, and they're having a big conference. So we're going to stand outside there and make a noise. When we go on a hikoi, we like to pick up, you know, people along the way and to give people who have an interest in this and some deep feelings about this to contribute. If they can't come all the way to Auckland, we can at least stop, say hello, exchange greetings, and be in solidarity for a moment at least before we go on, and we carry all their goodwill and messages with us. So actually it's all of the people who support this cause. We calculate them into the numbers. Nature is very diverse, it's very complex, and I know humans like to think we can unpack an ecosystem and know how every piece works in isolation of the other. You cannot know that because nature is too complicated, it's too nuanced. Just the sheer theory to think that we can grow and continue ad infinitum growing is crazy. You can't keep on growing on a finite planet with finite resources. So that alone is enough to make us, we should be stopping and saying, whoa, wait a minute. We need to have a different concept of economic wealth. We can't be talking about economic growth because there has to be a limit to that. There's got to be a point at which you can't grow anymore. We know this because the human population on the planet is what are we now, 8-9 billion or something? And if that keeps on going, the planet is not going to be able to sustain human life. It's about democracy a lot too. The government is doing things which the people ourselves don't want. And so there's a bigger picture about democracy here, how corporations actually have too much influence over the decision making that goes on in our country. It's not the corporation's country, this is Aotearoa and it's the people's country. So that's something quite fundamental, a message we want to get through, is that's got to stop government, and this national government has got in for another 3 years. And they're the culprits as far as we can see, the national government. That's the first thing. And of course, we want oil drilling to stop, we want fossil fuel production to stop. We know it's not going to happen in a moment, we know we have to transition out, but transitioning out means don't start new exploration. Duh, it's really quite simple. So to say, oh, it's okay, you know, if we do a bit of damage here or there, it's alright, nature will bounce back. No, it won't, because you've got like little, you know, microbes, little tiny organisms that get affected. The fish feed on those, the larger fish feed on those, the bigger mammals feed on those, and on it goes. You disrupt that, you have no idea what the consequence is going to be. You just don't know, and not knowing should be enough. A precautionary approach is needed here. This is quite a unique case because they're unlike other oil companies that are privately owned. So what we're striving to do is affect the hearts and minds of the Norwegian government and the people in Norway to say, this is really bad, and get their company out of New Zealand. Take it home, send it home. We don't want them here.